During high school, I took Pioneer JVS here, learned blueprinting and construction, got degrees before I graduated high school. 2 weeks after my graduation, due to the fact that I was an adopted child and didn't know it yet, I knew I needed to get the fuck out of their house. I was in boot camp. I was assigned to the tech or to the Arkansas. Arkansas went into dry dock. I took temporary assigned duty onto the Texas, went around shooting tomahawks at Saddam before it was way cool. They taught me how to drive this thing using the moon and its angle, just like ancient sailors used to do. I am helmsman qualified to drive a U.S. warship with nuclear weapons aboard, and I've driven both. After I got out of the Navy, I saw an opportunity down in Florida to build some homes. I built a bunch of them on this particular golf course. Its name is Sawgrass. It's in Jacksonville, Florida. I worked there for a few years, got tired of it. I had broken my back in the Navy. Lady ran red light, ran me over with a Ford LTD, and it was irritating me because plywood doing roofing, and yeah, that wore old, so I started doing cabinetry up in Philadelphia, and that's where we met on Angel. Yeah, that's Seamus. She was going through college at the time. I was her roommate. She was my best friend's girlfriend at the time. Um, my best friend that had slept with my wife. That's a long story, isn't it? Anyway, her and I were friends, and we still are to this day. Um, she was a production assistant on this movie, and she got me in there. I was doing office work for Terry Gilliam and Jeffrey B. Croft and folks of that caliber, and they fought to get me into the local IATSE in Philadelphia, where I worked for 9 months on this movie. I was in charge of 7 of the sets. For example, this set right here was in Paramount Prison, Cherry Hill. It is a stone-faced prison. All of this is drywall that had been screwed in with 6-inch drywall screws and floated on the face of the rock face without drilling into the rocks. I did that. I did all the Gothic trim and tile. On top of it, we poured denatured alcohol on my brand new paint job and made it look old. And that, folks, is how I did it. Here's old Bruce and Brad. See the detailed Gothic trim and pencil fucking lines? This is all tile work. I did all that tile work over floated drywall that I fucking did. This is lights behind a fucking fake window and shit. All right. I've got details because I actually fucking did this shit. No embellishment needed. Shortly thereafter, I found myself in California with Seamus' mom legalizing marijuana. That carried through for decades. His mom and I had traveled back here, and we were doing hair wraps and all kinds of stuff in an RV at this point, hanging out. Angel and I had a store over here. It was great. I did things. After about 4.5 years or so living in an RV and traveling around doing trade shows, CTA shows, Vegas shows, all kinds of shows, because I was making pillow pouches and glass pipes like I do. She got pregnant with Seamus, and we moved here to have him. She decided she didn't want to stop partying, ended up in Philadelphia, where I had found her. Left her, Seamus and I, here. 4 days old. I've raised him in this city for the first 6 years under the umbrella of the same people that Southeast Mental Health Group is. It was Exceptional Parents Unlimited. I did not have the right equipment, and I wanted to raise the boy right. And I did. Then one night I noticed our moon's doing a fucking cartwheel. And do I have to take you back to the Texas? I realized that my house was not in Sydney, Australia. It was in fact in Fresno, California. So I wanted to know what the fuck. And I figured it out. It was not very hard. You can't spin a ball and move the shadow. You have to move the person differently. And again, this this clockwise swirl that is on our ionosphere, the only swirl you see, there is no North Pole to speak of whatsoever at all. This showed up in 2010. This is the year I noticed our moon was doing cartwheels. Now I have to go back a year to show you the polar vortex because we have the counterclockwise and the clockwise swirls all over the fucking planet in all these years, back to 2010. This doesn't cover to 2010. It just doesn't. But you can see it's always had both swirls on here. They called this the polar vortex, the one that goes clockwise. Well, when it showed up, all of a sudden the moon's doing cartwheels. Well, the only reason that could happen is we used to spin like this. We go around the planet. Here's your ecliptic. The moon rides on the ecliptic, and it never flipped. And when that polar vortex showed up, it turned us on our side. The math says 66.6 degrees to cause that 180-degree roll. And we've held our position like this for 10 years while that thing crept up on us. And the moon has done a cartwheel every single night since October 2010. If you missed it, you're obviously not very observant. So go look. It's doing its thing, man. It's incredible. If you missed it, because now we're in a different kind of time. That would be 2022. And the world's on fire. So I noticed the moon was flipping and grabbed Seamus, and he and I ran off to see Sugar-Ree. I'm sorry, Angel. Sugar-Ree is her dog. Was. She's a beautiful animal. People like to try to say I embellish it. Let me tell you something. That little baby there is happy. And this is at Angel's house. Her mother and father lived in Nashville, North Carolina region. So that's where we moved. And I began to try to make medical happen in North Carolina because Angel suffered from early onset Alzheimer's. And she's about 6 months younger than I am. And I took that on as a personal fight. She suggested that I throw in the hemp on the bill, and I did, industrial hemp, and they didn't pass medical, but they did pass the industrial hemp. CBD made legal. And I was so upset that I looked at it as a personal failure for several years, at least a decade, because I was very upset I couldn't get medical for my friend. And she moved to Florida. She's getting medical. She's doing okay. She's doing good. I worry about her being in fucking Florida, though, because the moon is still doing cartwheels. And the world's on fire. So I put it together. She proofread it. I put it together again, and we sent it out. It became the Davis Hemp Bill, legalized hemp production in this nation since the first time since the Tax Act. I also, while there, my first actual business with the senator happened to be the core curriculum, and I was fighting for his right to not be stupid. I've shown the emails that went back and forth between me and Davis, and that resulted in the very first unanimous decision in the entire legislature body's history of North Carolina against a federally implemented core curriculum. I did that. And that is not an embellishment. After doing several years of work for Davis, I decided they wouldn't think I was crazy if I told them what I had observed. And turns out they knew. And they unloaded a plan, which I've been talking about since 2014. If you missed it, get your ass over here, oldest first. I lay it out in detail what I was told, and it's happening now. Now, as a result of me stepping down, this guy here contacted the North Carolina State Capitol Police. Okay, this is a traceable thing. And tried to have me arrested for non-disclosure agreements and a threat against Jim Davis, which is when I told him, or his sister actually, that I had hoped their bunker that they offered my son and I would become their tomb, because I would much rather take my chances up here with the rest of these people and warn them of what you have planned to do. He took that as a threat and tried to literally have me fucking arrested. So the chief of the state Capitol Police calls me up on his fucking cell phone and tells me what Davis had done. He also asked me what was going on because they took his report. So I told him everything I knew and packed our shit and left for Texas that night, leaving everything I had in my possession for my life behind. So I called my boy Matt at Bomb Diggity, and he had himself a art gallery down in Galveston that I ran for him for about a year while I fought for the children's rights of anti-seizure bill there in Texas. And once it passed, became law, I moved to Colorado with my son to put him into school here because I had homeschooled him from point A to point B. So we got here, he was very young. They wanted to put him as a junior in high school his very first year because he got his very first day. I put him in the day after Christmas vacation. He got an A- was the lowest score on all of his start tests. He graduated 2 years early and with honors, and went and got himself the state got the accelerated program because of his work. Now, me personally, since I've been here, I deciphered hieroglyphs. Yay! Figured out the deepest secrets of the elite. It's at 1748 hertz. What makes a black hole? Working models of motors driven by magnet. No electric, magnet. How does a sun and planet work with their orbits? I figured that one out, didn't I? Got us some working models going on with it. Look, he's going to move them around. They're going to orbit. There's a moon and a planet. They got to be locked in because there's a Lagrange point. There's opposing fucking magnetic fields here. Da-da-da. Impact wave. Centripetal. This is schematic. Not pretty design. Went around looking at magnets. Finding these patterns actually exhibit everywhere on all these magnets that he's been doing for years on these underwater. And we gave him this work, and he tried to steal it. Working model for the globe. Humans have an electromagnetic field. Discovered the meaning of meekness isn't weak. The human frequency affects you and how to counter that, etc., etc. Literally had Derek Bros, who is Bill Gates' lesser known, more influential business partner, following me around on Facebook years before I was making my first video because I was talking about the moon. This fucking guy he works for fucking Langley and Five Eyes, and he has trolls chasing us around. Used to. We put Five Eyes out of business. Yeah, damn it. No embellishment needed. And yeah, I'm talking about this guy in the Armonte that's fucking addressing Congress. That guy took his time out of his fucking day to follow me around for years. Now, the problem I'm running into is basic people that go around doing felonies and fucking shit for their entire lifetime have problems believing that I do anything or have done anything, and I continue to do things. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a victim or the hero. But I do things. That's the difference here. I do things, and I'm not dangerous. This person off of her medication is fucking dangerous. I'll tell you that right now.